started, guys, without any further ado. Before that, a quick formal introduction on my end. My name is Mohammed Shoaib, and I'm a cybersecurity trainer certified from EC Council. EC Council is the leading organization for cybersecurity domain certifications. Okay, and the demo that we have today is on the first foundational course called Certified Ethical Hacking. Okay, and the version of this course that is running at the moment is version 11, the latest one. Okay. So again, before we get started, this is a common question that I usually ask students, again, to understand their perspective on this topic. So again, guys, don't worry, even if you don't know the answer, or if you're not sure about it, still just try to initiate, and let's keep the session a bit interactive and fun rather than just keeping it one-sided. So a quick sample question, like according to you, in your perspective, what do you think hacking is? Anyone? Again, guys, don't worry, I am not asking for any definitive answers or exact to the point answers. Whatever comes to your mind, okay, whatever you think hacking is, please let me know. Anyone?
Try to breaking the system.
Trying to breaking the system, is that breaking, right? I mean, did I get it right? Break into
To
the system
access
Yes, try to
to access your personal things like computer, mobile.
oh, okay, trying to break into the system or access personal things.
Unauthorized access to the system or data.
Unauthorized access to the system or data. That's a great answer. Again, all answers are perfectly right. There's nothing wrong with them. Perfectly correct answers. Anything else, guys? Does anyone else want to add anything to it? Right, perfect. No worries, guys. Thank you so much for those answers. Those are exactly right. There is nothing wrong with them. Okay, but if I had to just add upon that hacking, that definition, I would add it as hacking is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. Okay, these information systems could be anything. They could be from as small as a mobile phone to as big as a web application server or a database or the cloud organization as well. Okay, and this is done without the permission or without the consent and knowledge of the person owning those systems. Okay, so if those systems belong to a third-party person, that person does not know that someone is trying to gain access to their information or the data. Okay, and this is usually performed by hackers for their own benefit. So once they get access to the systems, they can steal the data, destroy the data, or sell the data as well to other third-party vendors. Okay. Now, depending on this definition, we easily understand that hacking is a malicious job. It is a criminalistic task. If it is such a bad thing to do, why do we have a course called ethical hacking is the second question. Because ethical is something which is legal, which is allowed. And how can it stand beside the word hacking, which is completely contradictory? So to define ethical hacking, on the other hand, this is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. Okay, a vulnerability is nothing but a flaw or a loophole in the information system. So usually manufacturers might make mistakes somewhere here or there in the coding of the application. Okay, so that gives rise to something known as weaknesses in the information system, or in technical terms, it is also called as vulnerabilities. Okay, and this vulnerability finding, or the process of trying to find these vulnerabilities, is done with the consent and permission of the organization. Okay, so this is done in order to report it back to the target, okay, or to the authority, so that they can apply the appropriate patch for it. And once a patch is applied, that vulnerability is closed. It closes the doorway for the hacker to cause any harm. So thereby, with ethical hacking, we're trying to increase the security of the organization rather than cause any harm. Okay, so that is the main difference, guys, between hacking and ethical hacking. Where in hacking, we are trying to find, again, the hacker tries to take advantage of those vulnerabilities and tries to get information access. But in ethical hacking, you're trying to find those vulnerabilities, you're trying to report them back to get them patched so that you can increase the security. Okay, so I hope these two definitions are clear, guys. Again, if you have any questions, or if you have any queries, or if you want me to repeat something, please do not hesitate to let me know. Okay, feel free to interrupt me at any certain point. Okay, so now, depending on these two definitions, guys, of hacking and ethical hacking, we can categorize the types of hackers. So basically, there's three types. There's someone known as a black hat hacker, a gray hat hacker, and a white hat hacker. A black hat hacker can also be termed as a cyber criminal who performs hacking for his own benefit, okay, or sometimes even just for fun, without asking for consent. On the other end of the scale, we have the white hat hacker. Okay, white hat hackers are also known as ethical hackers or penetration testers. These are the people who abide by the laws and policies of the organization, and they work hand in hand with them to find the vulnerabilities and report it back. They do that so that they can secure the infrastructure rather than causing any harm. Now, in between, there's a third category, also known as gray hat hackers. Now, from the name itself, you can figure out they have some qualities of the black hat hacker as well as the white hat hacker, hence a mixture. Okay, so like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission before finding the vulnerabilities, but once they find the vulnerability, they report it back to the organization. Okay, and that is done in return for a bounty. A bounty is nothing which benefits them. It could be a financial reward or a reputational reward, anything which benefits them or their careers. Right. So all these three types of hackers, whether it be a black hat hacker or a gray hat hacker or a white hat hacker, they perform hacking or ethical hacking in a certain number of steps. Okay. And those steps collectively are called as hacking cycle or cyber kill chain. Okay. Now let me list those steps out one by one so that we can have a clear picture of what the whole course is about, and then we'll briefly discuss about all of them. Okay, so you can ask your questions regarding those. Okay, so the first step that you perform in hacking cycle or cyber kill chain is known as information gathering. Now, certain organizations term this step in different names. They can also call it as reconnaissance or footprinting. Second step is known as scanning. It can also be referred to as enumeration. Third step is gaining access. Fourth step is maintaining access. And the last step is known as reporting or clearing traces. Now, the reason I've specifically mentioned "or" in the last step over here is because that is where it makes all the difference between the white hat hackers and black hat hackers. If you're a white hat hacker or an ethical hacker, you would perform the first 4 steps, and then you would generate a report with all the vulnerabilities and the solutions for that and submit it to the organization. But if you're a black hat hacker, obviously you're not going to submit the vulnerabilities, but you're going to take advantage of them. You're going to attack the system, get access to the data, steal the data, and then remove all the evidences, which is nothing but clearing the traces or removing the footprints. Okay, so any questions or doubts, guys, up to this part before I proceed further into the technical part? Any queries or any confusion at the moment? Again, guys, I hope the audio and video is fine. Any issues with my audio or video?
Okay. What is this enumeration, sir?
Again, yeah, we'll be coming to that, guys. We'll discuss each of these steps one by one so you have a better understanding of what all of them are. Okay, at the moment, until now, here there are no questions, right? Because I guess there's some issues with the audio or video. Some people are exiting and rejoining again. Any issues, any technical issues with my audio or video at the moment? Okay, perfect.
Sir, your voice is breaking.
Oh, my voice is breaking. 1 second, guys. Okay, hello, 1 2 3, hello, 1 2 3.
Now it is
Guys,
okay.
it's okay, right? Right, perfect.
Clear, sir.
Right, let's proceed now, guys, and understand each of these steps one by one so you have a clear picture of what they are. So the first step is information gathering. Again, as the name itself suggests, this step involves the hacker or the ethical hacker to gather as much data as possible about your penetration testing target. Okay, and all this information is gained passively. What I mean by passively is that you get this information from other third-party sources rather than contacting the organization directly. Okay, so for example, if I have a target like Wipro.com, about Wipro.com, I'll start searching online for all the material for it, okay, all the data regarding Wipro.com servers. Okay, the main question is, what kind of data are we talking about over here? And this is the information that we require. So firstly, we try to figure out all the IP addresses and the range of IPs used by the Wipro's main servers or the secondary servers. Then the who is records to understand who is hosting Wipro.com and since when has it been hosting itself. Then the DNS records to understand what information is stored in their DNS servers, domain name servers. Then employee details such as their contact numbers, their email addresses, their usernames and passwords which are leaked, and their home addresses if possible, and so on. So then the domains and the subdomains of Wipro's website, and the operating system information, like what OSs are being used by the servers that are linked with Wipro.com. Now trust me, this guys, that all this information is available online to be gathered. So if I show you a very basic example, let's say if I wanted to find the DNS records for Wipro's organization, all I have to do is go to the browser, and in the browser I can search for a website called DNS Dumpster. This website is available for free for anyone to access. You can click on the first link, and over here you can just search for Wipro.com, and you can click on search, and now this is going to fetch and give you all the information about the Wipro's DNS servers. So first things first, it tells you where the Wipro servers are being located on geolocation map. So it tells us that there are 4 DNS servers for Wipro. As you can see, these are their host names, exact host names, and these are the exact public IPs. These IP addresses are very important for a hacker or an ethical hacker to proceed with the further steps of scanning and enumeration. Okay. After that, we can see that there's the host record telling us what are the Wipro servers IP addresses and the subdomains IP addresses. So this is the main Wipro.com server, which is being hosted on the IP 66.7.148.227. Again, this information is very relevant for a hacker or an ethical hacker to proceed further. Further down, you can also see it also gives us the complete network topology. So this is how Wipro servers are connected to one another, and we have the whole network topology with the host names and their IP addresses. Okay, so this is basically whole Wipro's organization main server data. So again, this data is readily available, guys, for anyone to be accessed. That is not the vulnerability. Wipro themselves manually give out this data so that everyone around the world can access their servers. If this information is not given out, not many people will be able to access Wipro services and the website. Okay, the giving out of information is not wrong over here, but not checking if the information that you're giving is secure or not is the vulnerability. Okay, so we have to see that whatever Wipro is disclosing, all these servers one by one are completely secure. Okay, after information gathering is done, then we go to the next phase, which is known as scanning or enumeration. Now, one of you asked me what scanning or enumeration is. This is nothing but trying to get some extra information about the target by making active connections. What I mean by active connections is that you will directly connect to Wipro servers, and from them you will try to fetch the information. Okay. Similarly, when we talk about enumeration, that is about gathering as much information as possible about all the services that are running on the target organization. So in a Wipro's organization, you might have DNS servers, DHCP servers, SNMP servers, Telnet servers, SSH servers. These are the multiple servers, multiple web servers, or multiple other organizational servers. So about each of that server, you need to get information, like what version of services are they running and what applications are they running. So enumeration is trying to gather information about all the servers one by one by making active connections with them. Okay, so you're directly going to ping those servers and you try to fetch the information from them directly rather than contacting any third-party organization. Now, when we talk about scanning or enumeration, there are 3 types of them. There's something known as network scanning, then port scanning, and then finally vulnerability scanning. In network scanning, we can try to figure out on the target network what all devices are active. Okay, so what operating systems are they using, what servers are available, what client operating systems are there. So trying to understand what all devices are they using, IDS, IPS, routers, switches, what all devices are there. On those devices, then you perform port scanning. Port scanning is where you try to figure out what ports are open, and on those ports, what services are there running. Okay, what applications are there running. Then finally, you perform vulnerability scanning to figure out on those services, are there any vulnerabilities? Are there any weaknesses that you can attack on? So during this phase, we'll be using 2 important tools called Nmap and Nessus. So if I just search for enable Nessus over here, this is the tool that is used in organizations as well. So if I click on the first link, as you can see, this is Nessus Professional. If I click on buy, it's around $4,000 for 1 year subscription. Okay, quite an expensive tool, and this is the same tool that is used in real-time scenarios. So we'll be working on the same tool in our classes as well. We'll try to understand how to use this tool and how to run or perform vulnerability scanning. The reason why I'm showing you all this is just to make you understand that we will be using real-time scenario tools. Okay, whatever is used in organizations at the moment, we are up to date with those tools. Okay, after, if I show you example, as you can see, I have the Nessus installed on my system over here. I'll show you how you can install on your system as well. And you can see, you can perform various types of scans. And once you scan a system, it shows all the vulnerabilities one by one. The critical vulnerabilities or medium vulnerabilities, information-based vulnerabilities. Again, don't get too confused, guys. We'll again learn how to understand this report. What are these vulnerabilities? What are these different levels of vulnerabilities? We'll understand all that. Okay, but basically, Nessus is a tool which can perform network scanning or port scanning and try to understand what vulnerabilities are there on each and every system. So this is an automated tool. We'll learn how to perform automated testing and get a report from it. Once you get a report, you need to perform manual testing also. Okay, and that is nothing but our next phase, which is gaining access. Okay, so this is a huge concept. It covers a vast variety of topics, guys. We'll discuss them one by one. Okay, so the first topic that we'll be learning in gaining access is system hacking. So in system hacking, we'll understand how we can crack or bypass a Windows operating system password. So if you have Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows 10 or Windows 11, does not matter. Okay, whatever operating system you have, how do we crack that operating system? How do we get the information about their passwords? If you are unable to get the passwords, how can we bypass authentication and get access to the internal files is what we learn in system hacking. After that comes malware attacks. Malwares are nothing but, in short, malicious softwares. So we'll practically learn how to create each of these malwares, whether it be viruses or worms or trojans, spyware, whatever it be. We'll understand how malwares are generated and how we can protect our system from malwares. Or if there is a malware already installed, how can we detect that malware and prevent it from running further or causing any further harm. Okay, then there's a bonus topic called malware advanced. This is again not included in the CH curriculum. We have just added it as a bonus topic for students to have better understanding about malwares. In this, we'll be sharing the resources to understand how you can create your own malwares by using Python program. So just in case if you know Python, well and good. If not, also not an issue. We'll be sharing the resources as extra material to understand. So if you are interested in malware development also, this is a very important bonus topic for you. After that comes network penetration testing. In this, we'll learn all the common network attacks. So in a network, you have multiple, again, devices, IDS, IPS, multiple different types of servers, like mail server or DNS servers, DHCP servers, SNMP servers, and so on. So we'll understand how to check for vulnerabilities on each of these servers. Along with that, we can perform a few attacks as well. Sniffing attack, man in the middle attack, denial of service attack, or distributed denial of service attacks, DDoS. Okay, and hacking Wi-Fi routers, trying to crack the password of Wi-Fi routers and getting access to those routers. All this comes under network penetration testing. Okay, all the common attacks that we can perform in a local network. After that comes social engineering, where we learn how hackers create fake websites. Okay, whether it be facebook.com, instagram.com, twitter.com, or flipkart.com. How are hackers creating fake login pages? And from those fake login pages, how are they getting the passwords, credentials? So we learn what phishing attacks are, what are the other social engineering attacks through which hackers manipulate victims into getting their passwords. Okay, so we learn all that, and we'll also understand how to prevent these attacks, how to distinguish between a fake page and an original page, and so. After that, we have web application pen testing. In this, we learn all the common vulnerabilities that exist on websites. So again, websites also have some weaknesses, okay, on which attackers can exploit and try to get access to the internal web server data or the internal database data, and so on. So to list out a few, there's vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication, file upload vulnerability. Now, might sound very technical, guys, but these are the weaknesses using which hackers can get access to your information, to your passwords and usernames. Okay. After that, finally comes hacking mobile phones, where we learn how we can hack an Android phone and get access to that Android phone remotely. After gaining access is done, then we have maintaining access and maintaining access, reporting and clearing traces, where we learn how we can maintain persistent connections. So if the target is restarting his system or shutting it down and starting after a very long time, How do we get access to that data? How do we still stay connected to the victim machine? Is what we learn in maintaining access. After that comes the reporting of recurring traces, where I'll show you how you can generate a report and submit to your client or submit to your organization, or how do you remove the evidences. So this course is designed in such a way where we learn both the perspectives of a black hat hacker as well as a white hat hacker. Okay. And it's designed in a completely practical way, no theoretical nonsense. Every day we'll have a class for 1 hour where the first 20 minutes we'll discuss the theoretical part, understanding what that attack is or how to prevent that attack. And then the remaining 40 minutes we'll discuss the practical part of it, okay, with real-time scenario tools. To list out a few tools, we'll be using this tool such as Nessus, we'll be using Nmap, we'll be using Burp Suite, we'll be using the whole main Kali operating system, okay, which I have over here, as you can see. Okay. Before that, let me show the course content as well, guys, very quickly. So yeah, this is over here, the course content for the whole course. Okay, and the course is for a duration of 35 days, where we learn from the very basics itself. So most of the students ask this as a question, like, sir, are there any prerequisites? Do we need to learn something else separately? No, this course is designed in such a way where even a 10th standard student can come and learn the course for, without any trouble. Okay, because all the prerequisites are included in the course itself. So before we dive into the advanced concepts, there's a few prerequisites which we will cover. The first few introductory classes. First things first, we learn about networking basics. We learn what IP addresses are, what are IPv4 addresses, what are IPv6 addresses, what is a DNS server, what is DHCP server, all the important protocols, what is TCP protocol, what is UDP protocol. We'll discuss all that in networking basics. Then we'll jump into virtualization. Okay, virtualization, because as you can see over here, I'm running my Windows 11 operating system. On top of this, I'm running my Kali OS. Kali is a Linux-based operating system. Okay, and we need to install this. The reason being, this comes pre-installed with all the penetration testing tools. So for information gathering, web application attacks, password attack, Wi-Fi attack, all these tools are available in Kali Linux. These are not available for you in Windows. So that is why we need to understand how to install this Kali operating system. Okay, and for that we need a tool such as VMware. VMware is a virtualization software. This allows you to install multiple operating systems on the same machine. So I have my Kali OS, I have my Windows 7 OS. All of these are running on my Windows 11 operating system, as you can see. Okay, so on my Windows 11, I can run my Kali, Windows 7, whatnot, as many operating systems as I want. After that is done, then we learn basic Linux and Windows commands, because as I've mentioned, we'll be using Kali Linux. So we need to know how to operate that OS. Okay, so we'll understand what the basic Kali commands are. We'll get familiar or comfortable with the Linux environment, and then we'll dive into the advanced concepts. Okay, so there's a few extra concepts there mentioned as well, as you can see over here: cryptography, reverse engineering, IoT, cloud security. These are not mentioned in the presentation for us, but these are all the topics that we'll be covering. Okay, the whole course duration is around 1 month, guys, 30 to 35 days, and we'll have a class from Monday to Friday onwards for every day for 1 hour. Okay, and the timings will be same. We'll have timings at 8 p.m. Every class will be recorded, and you'll be getting the recordings as well online, which we will have permanent access to. So just in case if you're missing out any class, you can access the recordings whenever you want. Okay, if needed, we can take backup classes as well on Saturdays and Sundays, just in case if there's a lot of absence. Okay, so yeah, that's that, guys. A quick introduction on what the course is and how long the duration of the course is. If you have any questions, you can shoot at me right now. Please let me know, guys. Any queries, anything that you want me to repeat or so.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, why we use that websites that you show before this PPT?
Sorry, Yogesh, I didn't get your question. Can you please repeat?
Sir, we as you said that we use some websites for ethical hacking. So that website that you opened before this PPT, I'm asking about that
Yeah.
website.
The DNS dumpster website, as you can see, this is for information gathering, trying to gather information about any certain client. So before we perform hacking, it's very necessary that we know all the data about that organization or the data about that target. So in order to get that data, we have to visit these third-party websites. Okay, sometimes your organization might not give you that data sufficient for us. Okay, that is why we need to gather that information from other third-party sources, websites like DNS Dumpster and so on. Okay, the more the data you have, the more possibilities you have to attack the system. Okay, the more attack vectors you can find or possible paths you can find to attack the system. Okay. So that is why it is necessary to access these websites and get the data about our target from these websites.
Okay, okay, so understood.
Right. Any other questions, guys?
Sir, which type of penetration testing we are going to learn here?
Again, CEH is a very comprehensive course, guys. We're not going to be going into any advanced level penetration testing, but we will learn all the kinds of, whether it be web application pen testing or network penetration testing or system hacking or Android pen testing. We'll be covering the basics of all of them. This is a course designed for people who are completely new to cybersecurity, and we can't leave out any endpoint. So we need to understand how to perform network security testing. We need to perform web security testing, Android security testing as well, and Windows or Linux security testing as well. So we'll be learning all of them one by one. Okay, we'll be covering each and every endpoint that is left, as you can see over here in the course content. Okay, but as I've mentioned, we won't be going in depth of all of them. We'll learn how to check for security vulnerabilities, basic vulnerabilities, and how to remediate them, how to remove those vulnerabilities. Okay, if you want to learn about any advanced after CEH is done, then you can go with advanced courses such as web application pen testing for bug bounty. This course is specifically designed only for website security testing. So in this, we'll be going with OWASP top 10. Okay, this is an organization which gives you the list of necessary vulnerabilities that you have to test for, and this course only focuses on web applications, nothing else. Okay, so after CEH is done, then you can choose a specific domain, and depending on your interest, you can choose your specialization. Okay, whether it be website security or Android security or network security or cloud security and so on. So
Okay, sir. Thank you.
right. Any other questions, guys?
No, sir.
Right. Okay.
After
So
course completion, certification provided.
yes, if anyone is interested in writing the CEH certification as well, we provide support for that also. There's complete pass guarantee. So I usually handle the certifications myself. So if you're planning on writing a
So this is
certification,
job guarantee.
this is what? Sorry.
Job guarantees.
Sorry, I didn't get you guys. Can you please repeat that? Hello.
After this course, his job is.
He's asking
Oh
a
yeah,
placement assistance.
job assistance. Again, guys, at Durgasoft, you're not going to be providing any confirm guarantee that we'll be placing you in an organization, but we'll be sharing your resume once you forward it to our consultancies. Okay, so in the price of 8,000 rupees, we are only including the course content with the course completion certificate. And if you're planning on writing a certification, we will give you certification support as well. Okay, so at that price of 8,000 rupees, we are not in contact with the complete job placement facility, but we do have few consultancies where we can give you your resumes too. Okay, once you're done with the resume preparation, I'll be helping you out in understanding how to create a resume as well, depending on a cybersecurity profile. I'll be also sharing the common interview questions, and I have a few references as well to whom I can forward your resumes. Okay, and again, we will be giving you the interview calls, and you can start attending interviews over there. Okay, again, it depends on your skill set and your practice on how well you do the interview. So we don't guarantee anything, but we will definitely show you where you can start applying. If it's necessary, I can just give you one source now itself. You can, after your course is done, this is the common website that I usually suggest for students, jobs.null.community. This is a website only specifically for cybersecurity job roles. Okay, nothing else. As you can see, null jobs. This is the website. Okay, and these are all the different domains, and you can start searching over here. So if you're a complete fresher, just click on freshers or internships, and these are at the moment these are the available placements. Okay, so for internships, okay, if you're not into internships, you want a specific job role, you can start applying for VAPT, vulnerability assessment and pen testing. These are the ones at the moment for cybersecurity. After the course is done, you can start applying over here also. So this is one website that I suggest to most of the students once the course is done, so start applying for jobs. Okay, so again, how well you do, it depends on your skill set and your practicing, guys. Okay, and this website is specifically only for cybersecurity jobs, nothing else. Okay, any other questions, guys?
No, sir. Thank you.
Right, again, if you practice properly and if you're done with the course, guys, and if you're thorough with all the concepts, getting a job in these portals is not that tough. Okay, there's a lot of students from our previous batches as well who have searched for jobs in this nuns.job.co.in, and they found their internships and their jobs. Okay, so again, as I've mentioned, once you sit for the interview, it's all on you. Okay, so it depends on your preparation of how well or bad you do. So we can't guarantee anything, okay, because that's on your skill set, but we can at least show you where you can start applying for jobs. Okay, so yeah, that's that, guys. Nothing further for our session today. And yeah, if you have any queries, again, over here is my number, just in case if you have any queries, technical queries, you can let me know. This is the number over here, 7680069
Hello.
768.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Prabin, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know. Actually, I'm a working professional.
Right.
I'm working on the front end side, but wanted to move into this domain. So, what suggestions could you, give me on that side?
Again, same, I would recommend if you're completely new to this domain, go with Certified Ethical Hacking, CH version 11. This is a foundational course for people completely new so you'll be learning everything from scratch. After that is done, if possible, if you have time and financial permits you, you can write the certification as well from EC Council. So there'll be a CH examination for 125 questions. Okay. And if you give 75% of them right, you get certified from EC Council. You get a certificate from the US organization. Okay, so that adds edge to your resume. If not, if you are not, again, certification is quite costly. It's around $500. So if you're not planning on writing the certification, I would recommend doing some extra advanced courses as well after CH is done, and then add that at least to the resume to build some edge again. Okay.
Okay. And is there any coding involved here, or is it into completely into, the
No,
security part?
not at all. In CEH, you don't have any requirement for coding level language. But if you're planning on going for some advanced courses like web application pen testing or mobile security testing, there you might need to have some basic knowledge. Okay. So when we talk about web application, it is necessary that you have basic knowledge on HTML and JavaScript. Okay. But when we talk about CEH, the foundational course, for this we have no requirement for any coding level language knowledge.
Okay. And what kind of roles we can apply after the completion of this course? Like someone is if having 5 years of experience and he has transited into this particular cybersecurity, what kind of roles would be available?
Again, as you can see over here, these are the roles that you can start applying for. VAPT assurance lead, VAPT senior security analyst, cybersecurity consultant. These are all the job roles. Penetration tester, security analyst, or monitoring job roles, and so on. Vulnerability
Okay.
assessment tester. These are the job roles you can start applying for.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Right. Any other questions, guys? Right. Assuming there's no more questions, guys. So yeah, that's that for a session. Nothing further. Again, we'll be starting the course from Monday onwards, guys. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we'll be having the same demo. So just in case if you have joined late also, you can join tomorrow as well at the same time. And if not, you can directly join the course on Monday. Okay. If you have any further technical queries, guys, here's my contact number as I've mentioned already. Although if you have any queries regarding the course date or again course fees regarding that, you can contact the institute. Okay. So yeah, that's that, guys. Sure. So I'm gonna be exiting, guys. I hope you have enjoyed the demo. And yeah, if there's any queries, please do let us know how we can help you. Okay. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
In yesterday's class, we discussed about some scenarios related to Power BI introduction part. And we discussed what are the things we are going to do in Power BI. Clear-cut information we discussed. So today, we are going to discuss about more related scenarios here. Suppose you are going to work with some project, right? In this project, I mean, Power BI related project. I'm talking about Power BI project only. In that project, what are the different scenarios we are going to do? And from where the project is going to start. These are all really important. Now, in the beginning, copying data. We are going to work with different data sources. From data source, we are going to copy data, then we are going to transform. Different things will be there. See, here important scenario is so we have some data source, Power BI desktop, Power BI service, end user related scenarios. Suppose this is our data source. From this data source, we're going to copy data. Right. And so maximum scenarios, what happens, you are going to work with some data source means it will be database only. Maximum SQL server database will be there. Okay. So coming to next scenario. From data source, we are going to copy data into desktop. In this desktop only, we are going to transform, right? and DAX, different scenarios we are doing it. See, an important point is, for example, we have some table here in the source. So every time why I'm talking about tables, because in RDBMS databases, in the same in Power BI, data is going to store in the form of tables only. There is no other facility, right? In the beginning, we are creating tables and we are going to store data in the form of tables only. That is the point. Clear? And so coming to next scenario, suppose we have some tables here. You take regular table. Suppose you have employee table and a department table. So in these tables, we have common column department number. Okay, now listen carefully, please. We are going to copy data from employee table, department table. What is the common column we have in these tables? Department number. So here important point is, if you are working with these two tables individually, lot of burden will be there, right? Suppose you have two tables and you are going to work with two different scenarios, means number of operations will be more and even burden will be more on our server. So that is going to create troubles to us. Okay. No? That's why what we are doing, here you have different tables copying from source to Power BI, and here you have common column also. So now we can perform some transformation called as merge transformation. So by using this merge transformation, we can combine data from these tables. Suppose here you have two tables, right? You are going to copy data from these two tables. And what we are doing, we are going to combine the data. So how we are going to combine the data here? By using transformation merge. So why we are going to combine the data? See, working with less number of tables always better than working with more number of tables. Remember that point. Okay. So here what's happening? Initially, when the data is there in the source, there are different tables. Right, Andy? When data is there in the source, they are what? They are different tables. So multiple tables, right? When you're going to copy data and when you perform this combined transformation, merge transformation, right? They are only single table. Okay. So now what's happening, by doing this transformation, merge transformation, we are going to combine the data. In the same way, we are going to minimize number of tables. Am I right or not? We are minimize number of tables from 2 to 1. 2 to 1 only. Please check it. Right in. So now after finishing this transformation, merge transformation, if you want to create any report by taking data from single table, you can go for report creation because you combine data. But just assume that you have not done with any merge operation. There are two different tables still. Still there are two different tables. You're going to create report so that you have to access data from two different tables only. Am I right or not? Okay, now listen carefully. Very important real-time scenario I'm discussing now. Okay. So an important point is so simple logic. What we are doing here, we are minimizing number of tables. So burden will be minimized. So performance will be increased. That is the key point we are discussing. So after doing this task, generally we are going to create report. If any DAX is required, we perform DAX. Otherwise, we are going to create report. Fine. See, important point is, yesterday I discussed, your data source is volatile. And our data warehouse is non-volatile. This is the point we discussed yesterday, right? Some of you attended yesterday's class. Some new participants there today. Non-volatile means, for example, data copied from source to Power BI environment. Done. You performed transformation much, and you go ahead and create report. That's fine. No problem. But after creating report or before creating report, right? Anand? After creating report or before creating report, if source is modified, we have employee table, department tables in the source, we copied them to Power BI. Then only we perform a transformation and we created report. That's what we are doing. For example, your source is modified. You created report. Source is modified. Right. Now, whatever the data modified in the source, that should be copied to Power BI. That should be reflected to your report. Right. So why I'm discussing this point, you know, you are new to this environment. Generally, you feel like we copied data, transformed data, created report. There ends the matter. That is not correct. Initially, we are going to take copy of the data from this source. We are creating report. Of course, we are performing transformations DAX. After that, refresh will be there. So refresh means whatever the modifications done in the source, they should be copied into Power BI. They should be reflected into report and visualization and dashboards also. So that is the importance of transformation. Not only merge transformation, we have different types of transformations there. Basically, merge transformation is joins concept of the SQL. In yesterday's class, I discussed some points. What are the prerequisites there for Power BI? SQL Server queries part and data warehouse concepts. So these transformations coming from SQL only, SQL queries only. Right. So now we got some idea what we are doing with the transformations. Okay. So after that, we are going to work with some DAX. For example, DAX also I'll give you some scenarios. Suppose you have source here. From source, you have some table employee. Okay. The employee table means generally what will be there in employee table, employees information will be there, data. You copy table from source to desktop, Power BI desktop. So employee table, salary column, there is no null value. Commission column, we have null value. So now you want to do some report, you want to create some report, that is in that report you want to go for total salary. What is total salary? Salary plus commission comes under total salary. That is the meaning, right? You have salary and commission means what is the meaning of total salary? Salary plus commission. In this scenario, so now we cannot perform any type of operation with the null values because nobody knows what is the value of null. Suppose I'm doing it like salary plus commission. If commission is null, total value you are going to get it as null. There is no null value in there is no null value in salary column, but you are doing operation with null value, right? So you'll get total null. Right? So that is really important for us. So here we have to do some conversions or calculations. But still, because see, I want to complete this task here. I want to work with the commission from commission, salary plus commission. Contains null values, but still I want to work with that. How to do that task? You got my point, right? So in this case, what you are doing, here you are going to use some function. Suppose is null of commission comma 0. This is null function is going to convert null value into 0. For example, you have null value in the commission column, then it is going to convert. Is null function is going to convert null value into 0 temporarily. Up to completion of this query. So if that query execution completes, then you are going to finish your task, right? For that, we are using DAX, data analysis expressions. DAX functions. What is is null? Is null is functional. Is null is functional. We are working with DAX functions only. Purpose of the DAX. So then you're going to create visualization, report. Even one thing, after completion of this, if any modifications done in the source, those modifications will be copied to Power BI from source. In the same, they'll be copied to DAX, then they'll be copied to report also. That we call it as refresh concept. Tomorrow I'm going to discuss that refresh concept. Refresh data. Refresh data means copy latest modifications done in the source to Power BI environment. If you already created report with that data in Power BI, even that report also gets modifications, refreshed modifications. Right, Andy? So these are really important. So coming to next scenario, yesterday I discussed some points here. Data modeling concept, Power BI modeling. What is that Power BI modeling? 1 second. So modeling means relationships between tables. Previously, we discussed about joins, merge. That is not relationship. So different tables data you are going to combine. That's what we did. But now the scenario is different. Here what we are doing, suppose you have employee table, department table, common data, department number, common column. Right, Andy? So you are going to copy everything. Employee table, department table, With common column, you are going to copy. From source to Power BI. Right? And even after copying, you're going to store those tables in Power BI environment permanently, right? So there also we should go for relationship between tables. Because these tables contains common data, right? And common column. So relationship between tables we are going to establish. Previously I discussed about merge concept, that is different concept. Merge concept is different. Because merge combined data. Now we are not going to combine. They are separate tables, different tables only. Even inside Power BI also, we are going to store them as different tables only. But relationship we are going to establish. What is the advantage of creating relationship between tables? Number of operations are going to minimize. For example, you are creating some report. Generally, in Power BI environment, you are going to create report means you are going to use data from different tables for creating that report. You're going to use data from different tables to create that report, you know. So then these tables are related tables. Then time consumption is going to minimize, right? Easy access will be created, right? So that means performance will be increased. Performance means what? Speed. Report speed will be generated. That is what client required. You are creating report. Report creation is not enough. Lot of things you need to provide to that report, especially, you know, security, performance, these things. Security is different thing that we can do, no problem. Performance is important. Accessing speed is important. How you are going to provide it. So these are all. There are many ways to improve performance, right? And so the major scenarios I discussed yesterday, building blocks of the Power BI. What are the building blocks we discussed? Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View. Power Query transformation area. Power Pivot means relationships between tables, modeling, DAX, that and all comes under that. Then report creation. Suppose you created some report. Different scenarios will be there in this report creation. Creating report, then formatting report, then filter report. Three different scenarios you are going to work in the report. So you are going to take data and creating some report here. Then you have to format visualization. Different themes, different layouts, backgrounds, colors, fonts, size. So general formatting, visual formatting, different things will be there. You have to make that report attractive, right? That we are going to do with formatting. Then filtering data inside report. Suppose you created some report. How to filter data? For example, now we discussed different employees, different departments. So you created report with all employees, all departments data. Now there is some person, some user wants to see particular department number related data. So you have to provide access to that department number data only, right? So this type of requirements will be there. For that we are going to use filters, filtering data. So previously I discussed some points, transformation. So DAX also given some real-time example. And now this filter concept, group by class, where class, having class, after by class, these are all filters only, right? So these are all coming from SQL Server queries part only. Right? So Power Query, Power Pivot to Power View. Same order we are going to follow. Suppose you created some report, then if you want to make changes to that report, you can edit that report. You can edit and you can make changes to the report. That is also possible, don't worry. In the same way, this is desktop, right? Here, whatever the things up to now I discussed in today's class, we are going to perform them in this desktop environment only. So after finishing your work from here, you're going to publish it into Power BI service environment. This is service. This Power BI service, I can say it is like, to share your work to customers. To share your work to customers. In the same way, dashboard creation is also really important. So maximum projects we are going to create dashboards. Dashboards we can do in Power BI service only. Here only sometimes we are going to create deployment pipelines. Deployment, what is the deployment pipeline? Development to, then testing, then production. So in the beginning, development will be done. Then it goes to test environment. Then it goes to production. So the deployment pipelines creation and creating apps. Apps creation is important. So app means what? It contains some visualizations and dashboards. Collection of visualizations, dashboards already developed. We call them as apps. Right? And even in real time, what happens, if you're working with real time project, sometimes they will develop their own visualizations, dashboards, and they are going to give them to us in the form of content, like for example, organizational apps, organizational services. What they contains, visualizations, reports, and dashboards they contains. We can use them. We can design them or we can arrange them for the customer's purpose. So these are all we are going to work here. So after finishing these things, we are going to work with integration. Integration means generally we are not going to do only. Nowadays we got some concept here. Embed. Embedding Power BI visualization with some application. For example, I give you a simple example. Suppose you are attending some exam, online exam. How you are writing exam? By using some application. They will give you some user account. You are connecting to their application and you are going to finish your exam. Am I right or not? In this scenario, after finishing your exam, they will give you some report there. So total marks, percentage, where you scored more, where you scored less. This type of graphs kind of visualizations they are going to give you. Where you are accessing those visualizations in the application only. But those visualizations not created in application. Application is just user purpose, user access purpose. Right? And so they are developed in some reporting tool, like for example, Power BI, based on the data. That is really important for us. So how to embed that report? Like just information. Your role is up to service only. Embed is not related to Power BI developer. But still, if you know something extra, that will really good for you, right? So little bit about embedding Power BI reports, Power BI dashboards into applications. Internal users purpose, sectional users purpose. So what are the licenses required? What are the security scenarios required? Something real-time environment. So these type of things we are going to discuss under this training. End-to-end training. So at the ending, I'm going to give you some projects for practice purpose. One or two projects I'm going to provide you. You can use them for practice purpose. Clear? So these are all we are going to do. So I think you got some clarity now, end to end, what we are doing in Power BI. The major scenarios of the Power BI development are copy data, transform data, DAX data, and visualization creation, dashboard creation, publishing. These are all comes under major scenarios. So if you know something about app design, creating app, designing means it's not like application development and you don't worry about the coding or kind of nothing. App designing means what? You developed some visualization, some reports, some dashboards. By using them, you're going to create some application, app. We're going to do that. We're going to develop it. So you'll get more knowledge there, more idea about real-time environment. How you're going to work out the things in real-time environment. That is required for us. Subject is okay, no problem. If you're practicing, you'll get subject, no doubt. But scenario is important, right? Even DAX also will go for in-depth of the DAX. We have different types of DAX functions. Differences between DAX functions, depth of the DAX. These are all we are going to discuss. So now tell me if you have any questions related to this training, please. Any questions, please? Anybody? Amit, Ashish, Srinu, Vaibhav, Vijay, you attended yesterday's class. But other participants are new to this. Vinith and Vikas. Vikas, you attended yesterday's class? Tulasi new, I think. Sarita also new.
No, sir.
Dhananjay. All right. Any questions, please?
I actually wanted to ask, but I didn't want to disturb you before. So when I registered for this, today was the first class. That's what I was assuming.
See,
But
yesterday I discussed the introduction part, Vikas. Don't worry about that. You have not missed anything, okay?
okay.
Just what is database, what is data warehouse, those things only I discussed. We will give you that recording also. Don't worry about that, okay? No?
Okay. Only question being like, in the future when we are to do the project and everything, I was reading the prerequisites were SQL Server knowledge beforehand.
Yes, yes.
So how much of that would play a part in this?
Actually, SQL Server complete queries knowledge is required because we have different types of query concepts in SQL environment. All those query concepts required for us. Because of that reason only, in Power BI class, we are going to discuss SQL. And if you want, you can attend separate SQL class also. Complete SQL Server training you can attend if you have free time. So that we are doing morning 6 o'clock now. Power BI, sorry, SQL Server development class. Complete end-to-end SQL development will be there. And Power BI class at 5 p.m. Okay, no? Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody, please? Any questions? Okay. Let's do one thing. Let's meet tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to start with Power BI scenarios. Okay, na? Right then. See you. In yesterday's class, we discussed about some scenarios like complete details about the project environment and how it is going to work in real time. Every scenario we discussed in the last session, yesterday's class. And coming to next case. We are going to discuss about the introduction part of the Power BI practical environment. I mean, Power BI desktop. The major tools in Power BI environment we are going to work are Power BI desktop, Power BI service. Okay. So Power BI desktop is for development purpose. Complete development activities of the Power BI we are going to perform in Power BI desktop environment only. Okay. So I'll show you how to install Power BI desktop. Even I'll help you in SQL Server installation also. You don't worry about that. And coming to next scenario. Basically, in Power BI environment, real time we are going to work with licensed software. But now, practical purpose in this training environment, we are going to work with free software. So we have different versions of the Power BI. Now, what are the versions there? Kiran, tell me, Kiran. Any questions? Right. Free version, pro version, and premium version. So these are the different versions of the Power BI we have. So coming to next scenario. Free version, directly we can download it from official website of the Microsoft Corporation. And we can use it for practice purpose. No doubt. Coming to next step. Pro version, premium version. Pro version of the SQL Server, premium version of the SQL Server, there you know, licensed softwares. So generally when you're working with real-time environment, real-time project, so we are going to work with the pro version of the SQL and premium version of the SQL. Sorry, Power BI. That's okay. See, pro version, premium version, license. That means if you want to work with those versions, you have to purchase license. Then only you can work with them. That's fine. But when we are going to work with the pro version and premium, what is the difference between pro version and premium version? So that is really important. Forget about free. Free means that is only for practice purpose. Real time purpose we cannot use. Project purpose we cannot use free version of the SQL, Power BI, right? Coming to next scenario. Now, pro version, generally what happens, when you are working with the gigabyte size of the data, hundreds of the users, right? And in that scenario, we are going to work with the pro. I mean, middle level cost. Premium version, when you are working with the terabyte size of the data, in the same way, thousands of the users, then you are going to work with the premium version of this Power BI. But what is going to change means, yesterday we discussed about some scenarios. Storage capacity, number of users, that is really important. Like pro version, premium version. So the only difference is like, storage capacity in the same way. User capacity, number of users. So this point is really important in the beginning. And coming to next scenario. Initially, you're going to create some data set. Data set in the sense of data, whatever the tables that and all you're going to copy from source to Power BI environment, we call it as data set. So now, coming to next scenario. One second, 1 minute, please, all of you. Right, coming to next scenario. Now, you're copying data, you're going to create data set inside Power BI. Okay, so two things we have to discuss here. Because we're in the beginning only, better to maintain clarity from the beginning. Otherwise, what happens, it is going to create a lot of confusion. Here we have something like a data source. Assume that your data source is SQL server. So in the same way, this is your Power BI environment. Okay, na? Fine. You're going to copy data from data source to Power BI environment. So I said like data source is SQL server. What is SQL server? Microsoft RDBMS database. How data is going to store in Microsoft RDBMS database is tables format. Maintain clarity. So you are going to copy data from data source to Power BI. Means you are going to copy table from data source to Power BI. Clear? Right? Even in Power BI environment also, data is going to store in the form of tables only. Right? And so now next question we can ask, like what table contains? Generally, table contains structure and data. Structure means columns, data means rows. Okay, better what is structure, what is data, that also I'll give you clarity. See, for example, here we have some table. Suppose table name is what? Products. So in this table, we have different columns like this. Suppose column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, like this. Okay, na? So now this area is comes under structure of the table. Right, Andy? Structure of the table. See, after creating structure, what we are doing, we are going to insert data into table like this in the form of what? Rows. So this is rows. That's why we say like what is table means it is collection of columns and rows. We say like that. So this area is comes under what? Data. So this is structure of the table. This is data of the table. Structure means what? Columns. Data means what? Rows. Got my point, all of you? So maintain clarity. So now coming to next scenario. We have table here. Table contains these things. The same table we are going to copy from source to Power BI. And structure and data. Everything is going to copy from source to Power BI. So coming to Power BI environment, we call structure as metadata, rows data as physical data. Okay, Nene? So little terminology is going to change between your data source and the Power BI. So in SQL environment, we call it as structure, and coming to Power BI environment, we call it as metadata. In the same way, in SQL environment, we call it as data. Coming to Power BI environment, we call it as physical data. Right? Same concept. Concept is not going to change, but terminology is going to change. Okay, na? So this is the point. Okay, that's fine. See, next question is, so format of the data. Format of the data is clear. Table only. Table contains metadata, physical data. And one more important point. You have to concentrate on Power BI. SQL is not so important for us. Query is part important because they are not going to develop any SQL environment, right? Just we are going to take data from SQL environment, but we are going to develop everything in Power BI environment. So concentrate on Power BI environment. And coming to next scenario, format of the data is clear. Tables format. Even terminology is also clear. Metadata, physical data, done. Right? And but what is storage mode? Where inside Power BI, where the data is going to store? Why I'm asking this question, you know? SQL server is database. Purpose of the SQL server is data storage only, right? And purpose of the SQL server is data storage only. So no need to discuss much about that. But coming to Power BI, it is not database, right? It is data analysis and report creation tool. Some data warehouse tool. So in this data warehouse tool, where the data is going to store, that is important. That is my question. See, we have some cloud environment called as Azure. This is from Microsoft only, Microsoft cloud environment only. Azure cloud, right? Metadata is going to store in Azure SQL environment. Physical data is going to store in Azure BLOB format. So BLOB means Azure Data Lake. Physical data is going to store in Azure blob format. Metadata is going to store in Azure SQL format. Remember, here you'll get some doubts. So we don't know anything about Azure because we are working with Power BI development only. Do I need to learn anything about Azure also? No need, because see, storage is different. Storage purpose, separate team will be there. Azure team will be there. They're going to take care of storage. So, but you should know where the data is going to store, right? I'll give you some more information about Azure SQL and Azure Blob when we are going to work with the Power BI service environment. Okay, na? Don't worry about that. And coming to the next scenario. So data related, I mean format related, storage related, everything is clear. Now, fine. Coming to next step. Generally, you started database. I mean, Power BI development means database copy only. Without copying data, we cannot perform any operation in Power BI environment. So, Power BI development is going to start with the copy data only. No doubt. So let's concentrate on copy data area. So how to copy data from source to Power BI? What are the different ways we have to copy data from source to Power BI environment? See, assume that there is some table products in the source end. What is the table name? Products. This table contains some columns, sales amount. Of course, we have some other columns also. I'm going to discuss some points related to sales amount from products table. That's why I mentioned that column name there. Fine. So now, okay, forget about sales amount. We'll discuss that later. We have some table products. So 10 rows of the data there in the table, I mean products table in the source. Now you are going to copy products table from source to Power BI. Okay. The different ways are import and direct query. So by using import, by using direct query, we can copy data from source to Power BI environment. Okay, now we can copy data from source to Power BI environment. Okay, fine. So what is import? Let us see. Suppose you are using import, table structure and data. Everything will be copied. Okay, Nandi? Table structure and data, everything will be copied from source to Power BI environment. That is import. See, we can use import for databases in the same way files also. Because sometimes we store data in the form of files in the source. I mean, Power BI developer, sometimes you're going to copy data from databases. Sometimes you're going to copy data from files also. Excel files, Notepad files, Word files, WordPad files. Like this, we have different types of files. Right, Annie? So whether you are going to retrieve data from databases or files, but you can use, I mean, files, you can use import. But see, if you are using import, table structure and data, everything will be copied from source to Power BI environment, and it is going to store in Power BI environment permanently. Right, Annie? That is import. Next step. For example, we are going to copy data from source to Power BI by using direct query. How we are doing this task? Direct query. Then what happens, only tables structure will be copied from source to Power BI. Data will not be copied. Data will be there in the source only. Only structure is going to copy from source to Power BI environment. Here what happens, some connection, permanent connection will be there between your Power BI and your data source because you are using direct query. Got my point, Alf? So in this scenario, physical data we are not going to copy. We are going to copy only metadata. Only metadata, not physical data. And coming to next scenario, one more point. Direct query can be used for only databases. Right? Only for databases. Direct query you cannot use it for file. Right, Andy? So this is what the scenario. Now, okay, fine. Suppose forget about direct query for some time. Right, Andy? Forget about direct query for some time. We used import. So what happened? Table structure, data copied from source to Power BI. Fine. Okay. 10 rows there in the source table. 10 rows copied from source to Power BI environment. Right. Now, you did copy. Copying data from source to Power BI is done. Okay. Now, what happened, in source environment, data modified. Modified in the sense, suppose somebody inserted 10 rows. See, here the thing is, this area is done. Initially, what happened? You copied table structure and the data from source to Power BI by using import. That is done. Now somebody inserted some rows up, suppose for example 10 rows. So that is latest data which is existing in the source table. Now can I copy that new modification or new data from source to Power BI or not? Why not? We can copy. So for that we have some concept called as refresh. Okay, na? Suppose you are going for refresh, you are going to refresh this scenario. Then what happens, whatever the new data, 10 rows inserted into source. modified in source, they'll be copied. Okay. Na? So by using this concept, refresh concept, whatever the modifications done in the source, those modifications will be copied from source to Power BI environment. So this refresh concept is also important for us. Because generally, initially what happens, you're going to copy data from source to Power BI. After that, your source is going to modify, right? Your source is going to modify by the users. Then you have to copy those modifications from source to Power BI. For that, we are using refresh. Okay, that is fine. And so we got some idea what is refresh, why we are using refresh, and how it works. Okay, that's fine. But my question is, we discussed two different scenarios to copy data from source to Power BI. Import and direct query. Import and direct query. Can I use refresh for import and direct query or not? This is the question. Import, we can use refresh. The reason I'll tell. See, if you are using import, what happens, the data is going to copy from source to Power BI, right? Data is going to copy from source to Power BI if you are using import. So then if any modifications done in the source, then you have to copy them from source to Power BI. That is import. So refresh is required. Next scenario, direct query. If you are going for direct query, data will not be copied. Only structure will be copied. Then why we need to go for refresh, tell me? Got my point, all of you, right? So if data copied, then if any modifications done in the source, then you have to refresh because you have to copy those modifications from source to Power BI. There you need refresh. But now data not copies when you are working with the direct query, right? Then why you need to go for a refresh? Am I right or not? So refresh we do for import. But if you copy some table by using direct query, no need to go for refresh. Is it clear, all of you? Clear? What is the difference between import and direct query? And what is refresh concept? Clear or any questions, please? Any questions, please? Right? Okay, now? So this is required in the beginning. So the scenarios today we discussed, they are base for Power BI training. Suppose you don't know all these things directly, we are going to start working with Power BI, then there will be no use. You should know what's happening, right? So we have different
Sir,
scenarios. Yeah, tell me.
hello.
Samar.
Then what is the use of the direct query?
Direct query, actually, I wanted to explain more on direct query when we are going to do it practically, mostly tomorrow. But anyhow, you asked a question. When we are going to copy whose data, because see, sometimes tables we can expect gigabyte size of the data also, right, Samar? Okay, no?
Yes.
In that case, we use generally direct query because to avoid space issues in BI environment, Power BI environment. In the same way, from source you want to get data by writing some query based data extractions. In these scenarios, we are going to use direct query. Up to 1 GB size of the data, tables, whatever it. Generally, we go for import only. We will not go for direct query. Got my point? Clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right. Any questions? Anybody, please? Right. This is the way. So next step, we have to go for Power BI desktop installation and work with remaining things. Let's do one thing. I'll show how to download Power BI desktop and how to go for installation. In, I'm sorry. In the same way, copying data concepts. And before going to copy data from the source, we have to create some report project in Power BI. Those are all I'll discuss in tomorrow's class. Okay. I think tomorrow's class, they're going to change link and contact training team. In the same way,
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yeah, tell me, Kiran.
Only we are using SQL Server only database, or some other database also possible to connect to the Power?
We can go for a lot of data sources. Once we start Power BI, I can show you. But not only SQL Server, we can work with other data sources also, other databases also. No problem. Right, Anna?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's the point. And tomorrow morning 6, we are going to start SQL fresh batch. Power BI participants can attend if you have free time. You can attend morning 6 o'clock SQL development class also. Okay, na? Contact training team. Right, Anna? See you tomorrow then. Bye-bye. So while connecting to SQL server, this is your server name. Copy this server name. And now I'm going to open Power BI desktop environment. This is the tool we are using to interact with the Power BI environment. So we are in the beginning only, so close this window.
So actually today's session was this one, no? To how to download and install all this, correct? That is,
Yeah, that we will do. Wait. Okay, na?
yeah.
So this is the environment. This is called as Power BI desktop. So Power BI desktop. Here we have different options. We are going to work with them. So this is pure development environment of Power BI. So coming to next scenario. How to get this tool? How to install this tool? Yesterday we discussed about different versions, different editions. Everything we discussed in the last session. Right. So go to Google website. Here type it as Power BI desktop download. So open this website. See this, we are recording this website name here. Please check it. Okay, na? So scroll down here. Go to this. Download. Select 64-bit. Right, Annie? Go to next step. It is downloading now. Please wait. In the same way, you just download and install SQL also. Durga Sub training team will give you SQL Server installation videos. Okay, na? By following them, you can do that. Right. Open this file.